Alright, so we have our database in place and we're ready to start programming our application. And I want to start with the front end because that's the easiest. Basically, the front end is going to have just one controller, and that's going to be the articles controller, and that's going to be also the default controller. So the first thing I want to do is set that as the default. So I'm going to go to config and routes, and then set the default controller to articles. Alright, save that. Now the front end and the admin side are both going to use the same models. Okay, so we're going to have one article model, and we can use that with both the front and the back end. So let's go ahead and create our controller. And I'm going to create a folder here called admin because I want to separate our admin controllers from the front end. Alright, I'm going to get rid of this welcome and create a new file called articles.php. Okay, let's open that up, and we want to define a class called articles, and we want to extend. Now we're going to do something a little different. I can't remember if we did it in the last one, but we're going to create a custom base controller. Alright, and it's going to be called my_controller. Alright, so we're going to extend that from now on instead of the default CI. Alright, and it's just because I want to do some things in the base controller. That way we can use those throughout the entire application. Alright, now in order to use this, we need to create it. So we need to go to the core folder, and we want to create a new file called my_controller.php. Alright, and basically this is a global controller, so we want to say class my_controller, and it has to be named this my underscore unless you want to change it in the configuration. I believe it's in the config.php file. You can actually change this to what you want. Maybe admin controller, something like that, but we're just going to keep the my. And we want to make sure that we extend CI controller, which is the core controller for CodeIgniter. Alright, and we want to create a constructor. Okay, and you got to make sure that we call the parent. So parent construct. Alright, and the main reason that I'm creating this is because I want our settings to be available from everywhere, and we're going to add that code later on. Alright, so I'm going to save that and close it for now. Okay, now this should now work. Let's create an index function. And I just want to echo out test. Okay, so remember we made articles the default controller, so that should show up. What's this? Expecting on line 2. Class articles extends. This should be an S here. My controller. Alright, so that's good. That means that our default controller is connected. Okay, now for the index, we want to go ahead and fetch the articles. So let's say get articles. And remember, when you pass data into a view, it needs to be in an array. So we're going to create a data array value, call it articles, and we're going to set that to this article model get underscore articles. Okay, now we have to create this model function. It's not like Cake PHP where we can say just find, and that's one of the things that makes Cake PHP easier to work with. So let's go ahead and go to the model. We need to go to models, and then the article model, and then we're going to create a class. A function called get articles. And I actually want to have some parameters for this. I want the user to be able to order them. So we'll have order by, and I'm going to set these to null because you don't have to have them. I don't want to make them mandatory. And then a sort option, which by default we're going to set to descend, and then a limit, which by default will be null, and then an offset, which will be 0 by default. Okay, and then back in the controller, let's just add those parameters. So we'll order by ID, descending, and we'll pull 10 records. Okay, so now I have to create this function, and I'm going to paste this in because it's kind of long, and I'll explain it. So basically we're using active record. We're saying this DB select, and then we're going to have 3 tables, articles being the main, and then we're going to join in categories and users so that we can get category fields and user fields as we need. And we're just using aliases up here. We're saying a.all. A stands for the articles table. Categories is being joined in as B, so we want to get the category name, but we want to get it as category name because users also has a name field. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. But if it did, if another table also has a name field, you can't just say name. You have to say name as and then create an alias. All right. Now C is the users table, and from the users table we just want to get the first name and last name. All right, and all this is really for the admin side. We don't need any of this right now. We could have just did a very simple query without all this stuff, but I want to use the same method inside of the admin controller. Okay, let me just add a comment here. Alright, so basically I'm just writing what the article does and then the params, what they are, and also their type. Okay, so get articles, we have order by, sort, limit, and offset. Alright, so this may look a little complicated, but it's just we need it for later. It's not, we don't need it right now, but I figured, why do it twice? Alright, so articles is going to get 10 articles for us, and that's going to be put in this value. And let's go ahead and load the view, which we're going to create in a minute. So this load view. We're not using templates here because it's very simple. There's only 2 views. We're going to have a home view and an inner view, and basically the difference is the home view will have the jumbotron, the inner won't. Alright, so I'm just going to say load view home, and then of course we need to pass in that data array. Alright, so if we reload this, we have an error because we need to create the home view. So let's go to views, and I'm going to get rid of welcome message, and we're also going to create an admin folder here. Okay, so that's where we're going to put all of admin stuff. Let's see, we also want a home.php file. and an inner. Okay, so let's open up the home, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my HTML for the front end. So I'm going to open up this index HTML page that we created, copy this, and paste it into home.php. Now the title is going to have the name of the page. We'll just say welcome, and then I want the site name. But the site name is going to come from the settings table, but we haven't implemented that yet to actually fetch the setting. So I'm just going to keep site name there for now. And then let's see down here. Actually, you know what? Let's do the settings, because we need to grab some values for the Jumbotron text and all that. So let's go back to my controller in the core folder. And basically we're gonna fetch all the settings from the settings table through the settings model, which we still need to create. But I'm gonna put this code in the constructor, and it's just gonna go through the get global settings function that we're going to create in the settings model, and we're going to get it as result, and then we're going to assign this global data, and then it's going to have the result and the key, which will equal the value, which will be grabbed from the database. And since we're going to have it like this, we can then access everything from this this global data, and then the name of the field, let's say site title. So we'll be able to actually use this code anywhere in our application. Alright, so before we do that, we just need to go to the settings model and create this get global settings method. Alright, so let's save that and then go to the settings model. And I apologize if any of this is confusing. It's just kind of what needs to be done to have an application that functions the way that I want it to. So this is going to be pretty simple. Get global settings, basically we're saying query equals get from the settings table, we're putting it into a result, and then we're returning the result. Okay, very simple function. Okay, so now this should do that, and we should be able to access the data with this global data. So let's give that a try. If we go to home, and let's see, let's replace this global data site title. Actually, no, that's not the format. I believe it's like this. Site title. Let's just see what happens here. I mean, our template is all static except for this, but I just want to make sure it works, which it is. You can see up here it says sample site. So that's coming from our settings table. So we want to properly link our CSS. So right here at the beginning, we want to echo out our base URL. Okay, we've used this in the past. And then it's going to go to assets/CSS and then the name of the file. So let me just copy this here and put it here. Okay, so now if we reload, still not working. Base URL, assets, CSS. Oh, we didn't even bring the files over, that's right. We didn't even create an assets table. So let's go ahead and do that. Cool CMS, and in the root here we want to create an assets folder, and then in here we can bring over these two CSS files. And let's also bring the JavaScript over as well into the assets. Oh, we need to create a CSS folder. Okay, we'll bring this, whoop, and also the fonts, and then admin. Actually, no, that's just the template. Alright, so that should do it. There we go. So this is still all static content right here. So I want to get the menu items. Alright, let's do that first. We'll go from top down. Alright, so we have a static menu here. Now in the controller, I want to get the values for the menu, for the articles that we want in the menu. So we'll say get menu items, and I'm just going to paste this in. So we're going to get this value menu items, which is going to come from the article model get menu items method. So we'll save that and then go create that method in the articles model. Alright, so this is going to be a very simple function. Basically we're just saying to get all the from the articles table where the in menu is a 1. Alright, so that's how we're going to know if the article should be in the menu, and then we're just returning the result. So we'll save that, and we're passing that into the view through this data array. So we can go to the view, and I'm just going to replace these static list items for one list item which goes to home, which is the base URL, and then we're going to loop through the menu items that we fetched from the database as item, and then we're just going to create a link. Okay, it's going to go to the base, then articles / view / whatever the ID of the article is, and then we're going to use the article title for the actual menu item text. So let's give that a shot. Okay, so now you can see that they are coming in. This is actually coming from the database. Alright, next I want to do the Jumbotron area, which we just need to replace with our global data variables coming from the settings, just like we did with the title. Okay, down here we'll replace the Jumbotron heading text, and then we can just put in Jumbotron heading. Okay, the text can be replaced. Text. Okay, next we want the button link. Jumbotron button link, and then the button text. And let's test that out. Alright, so that's working. Next we need to just get our articles, and we already did that in the controller. You can see that we're getting it right here, and we're passing it into the view, so we can now use the articles variable to loop through. So what I'm going to do is replace I'm going to replace this whole row from this row marketing to the ending div. And I'm just going to paste in, it's a UL with the class of home content, and we're just saying for each articles as article, and then we're just spitting out the title, the body. We're using this word limiter function which comes with the text helper, which you just pass in the variable, which is our body, and then the number of words that you want, which I put 20. And then we just have a link to the articles. Okay, so we'll try that. Okay, and there's our articles. I do want to lose the bullets here, so let's go to our CSS. It should be in our assets, CSS, and then in Jumbotron narrow, we're going to use that. and I'm basically just going to do a global list item. Say list style none. Okay, so that's really it for the home page. If we click on this, we haven't created a view function yet, so that's what we'll do in the next video.